Hey y'all, Jeff Nowak here, NOLA.com's digital sports producer. I want to thank our sponsor, Hancock Whitney Bank, for helping us bring this to y'all. Obviously, Saints are playing the Bears, but I wanted to take a step back and kind of look at a guy who knows what he's going to do in the playoffs with Michael Thomas back, Deonte Harris back. He may be a smaller part of the game plan, but I want to talk about Marquez Callaway. Just finished his rookie season, undrafted free agent. When you look at what he did, his production, the numbers don't fly off the page. He 23 targets, 21 catches, about 250 yards. But the consistency the Saints got out of him, a guy who, you had no idea what to expect out of when you threw him into the fire in week 5 against the Chargers, is pretty remarkable. And it's just another example of the Saints going into the undrafted free agent pool and just pulling out a gem. The reason that is largely is because he fits the mold of a Saints wide receiver about as well as possible. And you can say that about Michael Thomas. You can say that about guys like Deonte Harris. They really target bigger wide receivers who can block, or small, quick, shifty guys who you can put in space and make a play. You have that in Marquez Callaway. You have that in Michael Thomas. And you look at the guys who've made the roster. A lot of people were questioning why a guy like Emmanuel Butler didn't make the roster. I'd be willing to bet that it had to do with blocking. It had to do with special teams, because that is clearly what the Saints are looking for when they are talking about depth wide receivers down the roster who you might have to call on. You look at the guys on the team, the guys who are getting called up: Marquez Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Jawan Johnson. Even Austin Carr is a solid blocker. He's a guy is willing to stick his nose in and will hold up. And that's what the Saints are looking for. It's become pretty clear. And it's what Drew Brees is able to succeed with. He wants guys who are going to win quickly, get off the line against man coverage, present a big target, and let him fire the ball in. And that's what Marquez Callaway did all season. He ran a ton of curls, quick hitches, stick routes, out routes, quick hitting plays that it really, really will make a quarterback love you as a receiver. As long as you do what you're supposed to, you get in position, you get to where the route's supposed to complete, and you present the target. And then when the ball is there, you get your hands on it and don't let it go. And that's what Callaway did. He was targeted only 23 times. Obviously, he missed a handful of games. He wasn't active to start the season, as an undrafted free agent typically would be. He wasn't involved in the game plan really until week 5. It's the Chargers. No Michael Thomas, no Deonte Harris, and he delivered. He had a really nice game. He did it again week 7 against the Panthers. That was his biggest game of the season. And what you saw was, a lot of shallow crosses, a lot of curls, a lot of sticks. And he was targeted 23 times in the season, 21 catches, 0 drops. That's big. When you don't have Michael Thomas and you're worried about consistency from the guys you have on the field, to have a guy who just goes out there and catches the ball, he's going to catch it, or he's going to play defense. There have been a couple plays this season where the ball was delivered badly and Marquez Callaway went up and knocked it down. That's what happened on a go route against the Vikings that should have been a touchdown. Brees got pressured and he went and just knocked the ball away from the defender. And that type of effort, that type of investment is, going to endear you to a quarterback. And it's pretty clear that Drew Brees trusts Marquez Callaway. As you watch these clips, what you can see pretty quickly is the ball is out of Brees' hands very fast. He's not making a bunch of reads. He knows Marquez Callaway is going to beat his man, going to beat the man coverage, and he fires it in and trusts he's going to make the play. As you kind of get later in the season here, you'll see he started running the out a lot. He didn't get targeted on an out route until week 9 against the Bucs. And then he got hurt, missed a couple games, went on IR, came back against the Vikings, immediately caught 3. And it's good to see, these are not routes that he was running a lot of earlier in the season, or at least he was not targeted on them. And it's pretty clear that he was, a go-to guy in these moments. A week earlier against the Chiefs, Drew Brees threw an interception targeting Lil Jordan Humphrey on an out. He tried to hit Jawan Johnson on a quick out, or also in that game, and it didn't work. He didn't run a very crisp route. Brees had to lead him to avoid throwing a pick 6, and it was an incomplete pass, and that was part of that really slow start. And that's just not been the case with Callaway. Callaway has an ability to get off the line and really use his leverage and use his body control to create separation. We're on to the fades. Yeah, okay, so this is an example of a play that should have been a touchdown. Marquez Callaway finished the season without a touchdown here. That might be a red flag for anyone who likes to complain about, yardage stats and air yards and yards per reception. This should have been a touchdown. The throw was good. It was just a matter of a really kind of questionable call. So what you have here is Marquez Callaway starting inside and working around on the fade. And you have Traquan Smith coming through, and it's a rub route, but this is by design and this is allowed. They threw the flag because Traquan Smith didn't quite get out of the way, but it was a bad call on a pick because he is trying to get out of the way. And generally, you're only going to see this called offensive pass interference if it's very clearly intentional, if the receiver doesn't finish his route. And I think that's why this was called, because instead of continuing through his route, he kind of just puts his hand up and says, I didn't do it. And that's not a good way to avoid getting a flag. You can see Traquan Smith here. He's not finishing his route, and that is what draws the flag there. If he kind of bumps off that guy and just says oops and then kind of continues the route he was running, I think you get away with that because the refs are seeing stuff like this all game, and they're not going to call it every time. They're going to call it when it's not a football play, and that's what you end up with here. You can see he kind of just raises his hands. If he continues on his slant, you're probably going to have a touchdown here. But instead, it's offensive pass interference, and a really nice play to Marquez Callaway disappears. But still, you can see the route running ability. He fakes inside. He gets the defensive back kind of leaning that way. And then by the time he breaks around, the defensive back can't avoid Traquan Smith. The reason this is offensive pass interference is because Marquez Callaway beats the defensive back so badly that he can't even react quickly enough to be aware of that pick. I think this is actually a really impressive play by Callaway that ended up being offensive pass interference and kind of go in the opposite direction. Here's another one against the Vikings that should have been a touchdown, and this is what I mentioned earlier when I said you're talking about a guy who turns into a defender when the quarterback needs a hand. You can see he wins easily here. He gets the inside release, and he has good speed down the field. He's a good returner, and the safety bites over to Jared Cook, and all you got to do is get this ball out in front of Callaway. But as you can see, Breeze has pressure in his face. He's not able to step into this throw, and it ends up getting delivered over here. But he doesn't say, well, what the hell? I should have had a touchdown. He sees the ball in the air, and he makes a play on it, and he breaks up what should have been an interception. And that's something that, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but I can tell you right now, Drew Brees is very happy to see his wide receivers saving his butt on these types of plays. And that's the type of guy Marquez Callaway is. That's the type of energy you get. You see him deliver in these big moments, and you try to figure out, okay, why does Drew Brees trust this guy? Well, this play right here, that's a good way to instill some confidence. And one of those outs against the Vikings came immediately after this. I think you saw hey, I'll get you one. But never did get in the end zone this year. Still, there's a ton to be optimistic about there. Here's a play that, as you go through the season and you see him kind of developing his route tree, it's pretty basic right now. As you've seen as we've gone through this, it's been mostly curls, crosses, sticks, a few goes, a few fades, but primarily stuff close to the line of scrimmage, first down getters, chain movers. But as you get further in the season, you see him growing that bag a little bit. And that's exactly what you have here. This is the only go route that ended in a reception for Marquez Callaway this year. And it was about as pretty as you can get. So what you end up having, and like I said before, you kind of put Marquez Callaway over in the X. So he's on an island. He's man-to-man with Deonte Jackson, a guy much faster than him, but who's giving up a bit of size. So you know that Marquez Callaway is probably not going to just be able to outrun him on the edge. So what he's been able to do really well is, fake that inside stem, take that hard step and get that defender kind of leaning the wrong way and then break around him on the fade. And this time, Drew Brees just puts it right on him. It's a 27-yard game, his longest pass play of the season, and it's a really impressive thing to see from a guy as he kind of expands his game throughout the season. And you look toward next season and try to figure out what you have in these guys. You'll see right here, Marcus, he fakes that inside step, and you'll see Deonte Jackson just bites. He knows that he's under leveraged inside, he's undersized, and he will get boxed out if he allows that inside release. So he's hedging. He's hedging to try to keep him from turning his body and just giving Brees an easy target. And by doing that, boom, you get a lot of separation. And these are timing throws. These are throws that you're committed to long before the guy comes open. And you just have to trust that the receiver is not going to get held up. Brees spots him. He throws it out in front. And what Marquez Callaway does at the end of this play, I think is very impressive as well. When the ball is coming in, Dante Jackson's in trail. He can't actually see where the ball is. He knows it's coming, but he can't adjust to it. He's playing the defender's eyes. He's playing the defender's hands. He's in excellent position. He recovered very well. And Dante Jackson, got a lot of grief for this play. He played it about as well as you can after getting beat off the line. But the reason this is a catch and not a pass breakup is because Marquez Callaway keeps his hands down. Late hands as a young wide receiver are very impressive to see. A lot of young wide receivers will telegraph this ball coming in because they're so antsy to make that catch that they give away where the ball is. And then, so if Marquez Callaway has his hands up too early, Dante Jackson's going to put his hand in between them and make that impossible to catch. In this case, he doesn't. By the time Marquez Callaway gets his hands up, Dante Jackson's already committed. He's trying to face guard and just kind of obscure his vision. He doesn't get his hand on the body, which is why there's no flag called. And I think it's impressive to just see a defender play this as well as he does without fouling. But by the time he's trying to make a play on the ball, Marquez Callaway finally gets his hands up and he's able to just corral this. And it's a great play, great catch, great thing to see going into next season. Again, like you're going into the playoffs, you're getting Michael Thomas back, you're getting these weapons back. So there's a chance he's much less involved in the offense throughout the playoffs. But it's always nice to have a guy that if someone goes down, goes out for a play, goes out for a series, has to get his ankle taped, you can just toss in the field and have immense confidence in. There's just a ton to like with Callaway. There's a ton to be optimistic about. I did want to point out my favorite Marquez Callaway route from the season, if I can find it, that I think got overlooked at the time. I think this was either his second catch of the season or his third. And watch what he does to the defender on this play. He just kind of takes that quick slant and where'd he go? Where'd he go? There's this these quick feet wide receivers that just have a knack for forcing defenders into a disadvantaged position and then taking advantage of it immediately. Look at his feet. This is a drill. You're just chopping, waiting for a guy to lean and then boom, breaking the other way. And he does it so well here, the defender is literally 6 yards away. When you are a guy who can create 6 yards of separation without going more than 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, you're probably a pretty good wide receiver. And this play is just great. Whoop. One last thing I want to point out, and it's just another example of just a guy playing beyond his years. Stick routes can be really difficult to get right. As a young receiver who's trying to understand, how he's going to impact the offense. And the Saints run a ton of them. And I think, to me, the stick curl concept is the ultimate sign of trust between a receiver and a quarterback. This is the one from Taysom Hill that went for an incompletion. But you can see Callaway just seems to have a knack for when to kind of create leverage and make that break that is impressive to see from a young receiver. He's not working it too far downfield. He's making this work with the timing, and Breeze clearly is on the same page with him on these routes. The timing on these plays is not easy to get right. It takes reps. It takes continuity, and it just has been there from the jump. The decisiveness with which Drew Brees makes a lot of these throws. And this is just a guy sitting down in soft spots, his own coverage, beating man coverage. Here he's facing his own. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, stop, catch. And this is one of those examples of a bad throw. But you can see even on this throw, it's more about the ball getting tipped, obviously, than anything Callaway did. Callaway's wide open. This is one of the two plays that didn't result in a catch. Look how much space he has generated. But that's it. I hope my Marquez Callaway Love Fest has opened up some understanding of what he's done this season. Again, my name is Jeff Nowak, NOLA.com's digital sports producer. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. We have Saints Bears playoffs this coming Sunday, wild card at the Superdome. And make sure to check out NOLA.com, NOLA.com/sports/Saints. Follow us on YouTube, New Orleans Saints at NOLA.com. Follow us on Twitter at Saints Now. And on Facebook, again, New Orleans Saints on NOLA.com. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter, follow our Saints beat writers, and live every day like you're Emmanuel Sanders making your 60th catch for $500,000. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Peace.